So the director of emergency management would still be the director, you'd just be sharing the clerical staff if you were to put them in another department?
I think that's the concept.
Right. Plus, the real concept there is to have a director in county government oversee the administrative portion of this. You know, finances and purchasing and all the things that are set by county policy. It would make the job a lot easier for part-time employees that are dealing with other programs. That's my personal opinion.
Fine, I'll say. Shane?
There's two things. I mean, obviously, he needs a staff that can handle not only the daily things, but especially in the emergency. And when the emergency hits, the only department here that has a staff that handles that type of thing is DPW staff. But we did hire someone and put him under the commissioner, and that was our solid waste coordinator. He didn't hire him, we did. When we put the solid waste coordinator and we put him under DPW, he reported to DPW commissioner every day for his time, but we appointed him. The commissioner didn't. That was a case where we went out, we advertised for it, and we put him in the job. So it falls under that same kind of line, and to streamline it, make it easier, especially when they get loaded up. I mean, hopefully we never have another disaster. But when we do have a disaster, you can see which departments end up having to kick in gear for the staff and everything else. And Dwight's explanation to me, one department has a staff that handles this type of stuff is DPW. So it kind of makes sense as far as where we're laying the workload out to get it handled better and get it so we can do this part-time easier.
John? I got it, okay. John?
Okay, Bill kind of swerved in where I was going to go with this, in that the clerical staff is really what we're looking to share. I don't know, I'm trying to wrap my mind around the fact that somebody else would be doing administrative work other than the emergency management director. So I'm not entirely clear on how you're going to go about doing that.
Well, I think just for an example, the Commissioner of Public Works is familiar with county policy and how things are purchased and the policies and could come to the board and oversee the departments, just from a purely administrative point of view. He's not totally unfamiliar with, the operation. In particular, though, the Director of Emergency Management would oversee the programs, the grant administration, represent the county in meetings, and deal with strictly emergency management issues, less administrative oversight. The clerical staff, at least in my mind, the way this operation could work would afford the county some flexibility. If you've got a person that does purchasing in public works, or if you've got a clerical person in planning that has that knowledge, that skill set, they would fit very well. There isn't a lot of that clerical work in emergency management where you're buying supplies and things, but you need that knowledge. You need that skill set to deal with vouchers and the paperwork that has to be done, and dealing with the board, doing resolutions and things of that nature. I just see that as a good fit. It's not a full-time job. So if you've got people that might be in danger of being displaced because of budget issues, you've now got somebody that could take on some extra work and perhaps be safe where they are. That's what it buys you. It buys you some flexibility.
Could you have an emergency management director that, let's say, would be full-time and also do the clerical work? Instead of having two part-timers, have just one full-time.
Perhaps. I think the danger there, John, is quite frankly, one of the things that it was difficult for me to wrap my hands around was the accounting system here in the county, the resolutions and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not sure you want to I don't want to sound elitist about this, but I'm not sure you want to pay somebody that's administering programs and a specialist in emergency management doing clerical tasks. I don't mean that in a demeaning way, it's just, they're different skill sets. And I'm not sure it's a good use of county resources. That's all that's why I'm suggesting this.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. I was a new guy, but when George came and Gary were one fire coordinator, one emergency management, I never paid attention if one was subordinate to the other. Were they? Or were they equals?
I can't say because I wasn't here in the office. I don't know who reported to who, but
Huh?
They were separate. Back then, they were separate.
I know that they were separate,
They
but,
shared office space and they shared a clerical person.
I don't think one reported.
so one didn't report to the other. But,
And that's what I'm suggesting. I don't know what happened in the past.
okay, because if it's in the mindset of the fire community that they were separate and that they want to maintain being separate, and we bring them in, as long as it's understood that one is under the other.
I don't think the mindset of the fire department, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think that the mindset of the fire department is that this is one unite, emergency management and fire coordinators are together as one. It's just, emergency management coordinators do different tasks than fire coordinators do, but we still work together as one.
I don't think they'd be hung up, to
No.
answer your question, on one reporting to the other.
Right. Well, if we set it up that way, there can be, you know what I mean? But if we just if we let it happen, and that's the way it was, then there's likely to be confusion.
Quite frankly, that's the model that's coming down from the state right now, where you've had the Office of Fire Prevention and Control now integrated with in the Division of Homeland Security with state emergency management. Those people are now being cross-trained to do both jobs. And in essence, we'd be doing the same thing here. Quite frankly, I think it'd be a step ahead for the county to do that. You're one up on the other counties that aren't doing it that way. And at the time of a disaster, we just saw this last year. Everybody comes and works together. It doesn't matter what hat you're wearing. We assign people, we did what, and they brought their skill sets from the fire service and emergency management put together to work. And I think that's the key. It worked. We don't work.
Okay.
Would I like to see the job, a full-time job? Absolutely. Would I like to see a full-time secretary in the office? Absolutely. If times were good, that'd be perfect. That's what we need. All I'm offering is something that I think you can work with this budget. If you want to keep the jobs part-time, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to have somebody do that. But I think it's better if you've got two part-time guys working for a full-time boss that's familiar with county operations, especially if we're bringing people in from the outside that aren't familiar with county operations.
It probably won't happen, but, and I just want to preface that, probably won't happen. When your budgets are separated, it's almost as if nobody will touch that. I mean, because it has there's a feeling amongst people that that part you may not touch. The problem is that when we take you and let's say and put you in to Public Works, where it's much more, it's been much more easy to go ahead and say wipe out certain sections. You know what I mean? You had some security by being alone. Separate.
I'm not sure we did. I'm not sure that analogy is true.
Well,
And I think the last.
with you it worked out.
Not this last budget cycle, but the budget before that, that's not true. Because you took a full-time job, made it part-time, we trimmed the office.
We found you.
Well, I was your lucky day. What I can tell you is,
No, I know what you're saying.
quite frankly, the board cut things that probably shouldn't have been cut. And we saw that during the flood. There were expenses that couldn't be covered because the budget had been cut.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
I appreciate that mindset. I think it's a good mindset. And I think if you look at the budget's realistic. The budget also includes a lot of state and federal money that pays for what you have. One of the issues that came up when we tried to fill the clerical item, and we didn't, was that we lost money because we didn't get the reimbursement from the federal government.
Well, the other problem is that you got so many grant accounts in your budget now. If we took your whole budget and stuck it in Public Works, it'll blow theirs up to,
It shouldn't blow it up because quite frankly,
Non-dollar
one of the
amounts.
things that we went through with the audit last year with Homeland Security, we had to break every one of those grant programs out. And you can see right in there now. Sean had to go through and create all those separate accounts. And that's done for simply that purpose. You can see what's coming in, what we've spent, what's left, and you can see the whole progression.
okay.
That was the mystery when I got here. The mystery for me was trying to decipher what we had and what we didn't have and try to find it in the county accounting system.
Well, there was no hub left. So, okay. I'm good, thanks, Chair.
Ryan?
Is there a recommendation from the fire advisory board for the fire coordinator position?
No, there is not at this time. And again, that was part of the confusion. There was no posting for the job, and I think the fire community is sort of in limbo right now, wondering what's going to happen. Quite frankly, the fear is, and I'll say it for them, they're concerned that this is just getting pushed aside and being forgotten. And we would prefer that not happen.
Well, I think that's something that we would be looking for as a recommendation from them.
Well, I think you need to have a posting correct first before,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's what the board's going to do.
Part of the problem here was I told people to apply for the director's job in emergency management, when in fact what they're really interested in are being fire coordinator. And the reason I did that was because I knew the filing date was this coming Friday, and I think the expectation was if you weren't on the list to be considered, then you weren't going to be considered for anything. So that's, I guess I'm part of the cause, which is why I'm here.
I thought that was one of the reasons why we accepted outside county applicants, because of the fire coordinator position, was it not? Maybe I missed out on that discussion when we had
Both positions.
both.
Set, Ryan?
yes, that's true.
Larry?
Yeah, I got a question. I believe Dwight is suggesting possibly, obviously, putting this under the Department of Public Works, his department. Being we have the commissioner here, I would ask Paul, do you see this as workable as far as you're concerned?
Dwight had mentioned to me a week or so ago what his recommendation was. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought, but I see it, basically his point is he wants the emergency management guy responding to emergencies. He wants the fire coordinator responding to fires, and he wants somebody else to come sit in this room on Tuesday nights.
That's the way I understand
And I'm being a little blunt. I mean, it's not quite that,
Yeah.
not quite that simplified. But I do see it as being workable. I mean, if that's the way the board chose to go, I would want to have some, some access to Dwight and his account clerk, just to get familiar with their budget, because I really am not that familiar with it. It would have to be incorporated into mine. Like a few years ago, we added the solid waste, which is where we put the building demolition. We would have to add the emergency services portion. in it, and I'd have to get familiar with their budget and things like that. But I think with the number of requisitions that we process in a month, that we could easily incorporate the requisitions that his department would generate and include it under our existing staff. And the same with the personnel and tracking their budget and things like that. The first year would be a learning process.
That was my only concern, is how just all of a sudden shoving this down to somebody that was very hesitant about doing it. But obviously, you're not hesitant about doing it, just got.
No, because I mean,
Yeah.
if there's a structure fire on Broadway and they want me to go there and tell them where to put the ventilation hole to ventilate it, I'm not the guy for that. But if they need somebody to come here and request additional grant funding or something for the department, I would think that part of it, I could handle that part of it.
If I may say something, not to, but I think Dwight also has a number of his deputy coordinators that are underneath him that will also step up to help out on the meetings here and wherever else they need to be to cover the part-time position that's being filled now. I can speak for myself.
But I mean, Dominic was right, it does create a few things that would need to be worked out, like with the personnel, but if it's set up as a separate division within Public Works, it could be an appointment, maybe by the Commissioner of Public Works, but with the approval of the Board of Supervisors. Like I said, I haven't really talked to Rich Bea about how that part of it would work. I haven't talked to Sean about how the budget part of it would work. But that's just my impression of how it could work. Whether it was my department or planning or wherever, it would probably be a similar process.
Thank you, Paul.
All set there?
Yeah, well said.
Anybody else?
One final one.
Sure.
Location of this, if it's going to be under Public Works, are they physically located in Public Works? Because
I don't believe they have to be, but
But
that's
if-
certainly something that could be worked out.
well, remember the problem you had when you started was trying to bring personnel down to you, I mean, and work out of the other office. This part-time clerk would have the same issues. You know, I mean, being under them over there, or being one of the girls over there, and being located here would pose a problem.
You're right.
Right? We'll worry about the money. You worry about location.
I've got my look.
South of the border.
Okay, thanks, Joe. That's all.
All right. Anybody else? Dwight, you guys want anything else? Say anything? All set?
Anybody want to talk?
Okay, thank you. Any other business before we go into executive session?
We need a motion to go on executive session over an employee issue and a letter from our labor attorney.
Okay, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Bill, do I have a second? Barb? Okay, we'll go into executive session.